I emailed over 1,000 editors and asked them to send me their best edits. And what I found was brutal. Editors grinding 30, 40, even 50 hours on a single video and still stuck at $200 a cut. But nearly all of them had the same blind spots because nobody ever taught them the psychology of editing, the strategy clients pay 6 figures for. Today, I'll show you how to fix those blind spots so you can escape editor hell and finally charge what top editors charge. The first edit we're going to review is Emily's.
I used to come here as a kid all the time.
Oh dear, why is Brody in my right ear?
Yeah?
Yeah.
She's in my left ear. So what's happening here is they must have some lavalier mics or something like that. If we can simply switch it from stereo to dual mono, it fixes the issue. It puts it right in the middle and it's nice.
If I remember correctly from being here a long time ago.
Unless it's essential to the story, I don't believe people need to know that you've been here before.
It's actually right over, oh yeah, you can see it right here. It's right over here. So I'll show you.
Also, it's unnecessary dialogue as well. Like, oh yeah, it's right over here. Let me show you. That can be effective sometimes when you're building tension, but the words he was saying wasn't really building tension. You could just cut that out. Let's get them through a nice, compact story that feels like it doesn't have any fat on it. Now, I bet you are making some of these mistakes, and so I got something for you. The 12 viral editing secrets. These are the exact strategies I've used to help rack up over 1 billion views for top creators and scale my client work to 12K a month. Over 2,500 editors are already using it, and the reason is simple. It saves you years of spinning in front of a dead timeline, wasting nights on cuts that never pay off. Instead of guessing for the next 3 years, you can steal what actually works today. The link's in the description. It's free, so grab it before you forget.
Inside there's rocks.
Which would make you think it's going to be warm, not cold.
Good time to caption her because I didn't even know she was talking. I thought that was some random person talking, so at that point, it's good to caption. You don't want to caption everything because it breaks immersion at a certain point. If every word is captioned, you're going to be looking at the bottom of the screen all the time instead of looking at the visuals. And you wouldn't want to just caption that. You would want to raise her audio up a little bit as well. The problem with doing that is that it's also going to raise up the wind noise and the crowd in the background. There is a tool called Adobe Podcast Enhance that allows you to decrease some of the background noise a little bit so that they can't really tell that you brought in a bunch of new background noise.
It's Florida. It's a body of water.
But it looks so peaceful. There shouldn't be alligators here.
You already have a strong noise isolator because the crowd should be much louder. I should be hearing a lot more water splashes, but I'm not. And I want to hear a bit more of the crickets. Those sounds are what make things feel like you're not in a building. Like when you hear stuff like that, you're like, oh, I'm in nature, I'm outside. And I don't know if that's being done in post or if that's being done built into the mic, but I would play with that a little bit more to make sure you get those crickets, those nature sounds, because those are relaxing to people and it makes your videos feel soothing.
There's definitely alligators here. Which reminds me, I think we should have a bucket list for...
This is the perfect time to contrast their smiles. Let's contrast it with creepy music to show that even with all the smiles, there is some underlying mystery and monster beneath the surface. That camera whipping to him was the perfect time to put some absurdly ominous music and then echo his laugh. So it could be like, ha 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 ha. Keep it silent after that. So let it reverb out. And then when he says, which reminds me, still keep it silent because that built my curiosity. So don't bring in the music until the list comes up because now we have something new.
There's definitely alligators here. Which reminds me, I think we should have a bucket list for our Springs visit.
It makes a difference. The audience loves that sort of goofy stuff.
Look, there's a snake.
What?
There's a snake right there. Ooh, I don't know if that's a water moccasin or...
I love the fact that it starts off with the music cutting off and it goes to dead silent and he's like, it's a snake and it's dead silent, no music. And then the music triggers. That's professional editing right there. When you hold off on just, okay, I'm gonna put it right on the cut. No, you have the discipline to wait to trigger the music until the right time. You got me to the point where I'm begging for you to show me the snake and then you showed me. So I would say that's an effective edit. Overall, great job, just had to tighten up some stuff, so yeah. The next edit we're gonna review is Vlad's. He did a good technique by panning the sound design to one side of the ear. I tell editors to do that from time to time because it's a pattern interrupt. It wakes the audience up and it impresses clients. But the way it's used here doesn't make any sense. He's typing right in front of the camera. So why are the sounds over here? If you don't actually have a motivated reason to use the technique, then don't use it. Don't force it in just for the sake of saying, I learned something new, let's apply it right now.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for calling me back.
Okay. I am currently experiencing a feeling of existential dread. It's amazing how much music can drive me insane. This is quite literally formulaic, copy-paste corporate music. I could be literally watching the most amazing cinematic edit I've ever seen in my life, but with this music, I can never fully appreciate it. I just can't. And it's the fact that stock footage, so you've done two big no-nos where you have generic stock footage, generic music. The moment you use those two things in tandem, it screams to me that whatever project you're gonna make for me is going to be generic.
Yeah, I mean, I can do color grading and isolation.
It's creative because he's trying to do a phone call instead of just talking on the camera and just presenting himself. But sometimes simply talking to the camera will be more effective because clients want to know the person they are getting involved with. And the easiest way to do that is to get yourself on camera instead of just going the route of I'm gonna do a bunch of disconnected clips that don't really trigger a feeling with anybody. It's just not the right move.
Motion tracking.
This video feels so long. That's the other part about it. When you're making a reel, get to the point. Most people are only gonna watch 30 seconds of your reel before making up their mind about you.
Speed ramping.
If you were going to demonstrate editing features, which first of all is not what you should be doing in the first place, let me address that. You want to have the person visualize how their life improves with you. The technical details are typically not going to trigger that. Clients don't give a gosh darn if you could do all these effects if you don't know how to put together a compelling story.
Character introduction, if you're into that sort of thing.
And this. What is this? I don't want to hurt people's feelings. In a perfect world, everybody just does everything properly and correctly, and I don't need to call anything out. But it's hard because, what is this? Again, it's just a random shot of a random dog. I know you didn't film this. I don't feel connected to it. This is not what is going to attract a high-paying client.
If we're gonna work together, I want us to be close.
You want us to be close, yet I have no connection to you. I haven't even seen your gosh darn face.
Friends.
You didn't even add a sound effect for the dap? You were talking about your sound design skills, yet when the two buffest men of all time do a handshake, it's just silent.
What I find most important is storytelling. Pacing, the feel, the vibe. Why?
It's like he's trolling me. Vlad, are you trolling? Why did you do this, man? I like to believe that this gentleman could make a fantastic reel. He just unfortunately put the ladder on the wrong house.
Hell, even fancy transitions.
I'm sorry. Did you say fancy transitions? It's interesting that you said that because it turns out that flashy transitions are not the answer. Cheap editors obsess over effects. Elite editors know it's psychology that makes viewers binge and clients chase you. Take Ashley, for example. She tripled her rate after just one edit. Amog went from $300 a month to $1,200 a month. Andrew got a $6,000 raise from one client and got so good he's working with me on Will Tennyson's channel. Muhammad went from second-guessing every cut to getting a job offer from Airac, a YouTuber with 16 million subscribers. So what changed? What did they do differently? They didn't suddenly learn some fancy effect. They learned a new way of thinking about editing. And that's exactly what I teach inside the Elite Editor Academy. If you're ready to stop being overlooked and finally charge the rates that pro editors charge, the link's in the description. And now, the final edit we're gonna review, Elena's.
Why is everyone going to Rome this year?
What was that? Why we got a random black screen? That's like a full-on glitch. And it's a glitch in the first shot of the video. You Can't have that.
This is the story of how two travelers.
Everything sounds harsh right here. The harshness of sounds is a big one for editors. Without a solid base, it is difficult to do anything great with editing. If the voiceover does not sound good, then you're still gonna get roasted. Like me, I got my booty roasted. People were like, how could you do an editing breakdown when your audio sounds like butt cheeks? Man, that hurt my feelings a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Not even gonna lie to you, it hurt. Well, so hopefully this sounds better and y'all can shut up. But anyways, the editors that get stuck at the same rate over and over is because they stay editors, but they don't do anything beyond that. If you want to make the big bucks, you need to tell your client when there's something going wrong with how they're filming things.
We had no idea about the historic significance of this moment until a text message changed everything.
You're saying a text message changed everything. And in my head, I'm thinking like, let's get a slow shot of the camera slowly moving to the phone on the table. Well, these are all the shots we had. That's where the master editor comes in. Master editor says, hey, this is what I can do with what you gave me, but for the future edits, let's try to get a shot of the phone like this. Let's get a shot of you walking around, because that's the other part that's tripping me up about this guy's trying to edit. It is all about the landscape. I don't feel connected to you, the speaker. Who am I listening to? I have a feeling that that is the person speaking. And it's not some advanced IQ guessing, but I mean, we just saw that girl right there. And then we see a video of the girl right here. So why can't we have more shots that connect you in that way? That adds personality, because then I connect you to the voice. Without that, these are a series of disconnected shots that look beautiful, but the reason why people tend to stick to channels is because they get connected to people. And again, that is something the editor communicates to the client. Hey, you shot this pretty good. Let's shoot it just a little bit better next time. And I'm going to tell you specifically how to do it. That is an editor that gets paid large sums of money.
It's announced with a white smoke.
Dang it! Ladies and gentlemen, we have an audio pop. Smooth your gosh darn pops.
I mean, no, not that scam.
Hey, this is how you know you're looking at a pretty good editor, because they are timing the musical flare-ups and the crescendos to the flipping over of the cup. When you see something like that, you know you're working with an editor that's intentional. They're not just using music to fill an empty gap. They took the time to time that. As I'm doing these editing roasts, I am immediately trying to get a gauge of these edits. And within 10 seconds, I tend to get a pretty good idea. But when I see something like that, it moves it up. That same thing happens in the client's mind.
At Piazza Venezia.
I do like that it's just the music and there's no more voiceover for a little bit. You can really just kind of soak in the environment, because at a certain point, your brain kind of wants a break every now and again. I didn't know bro was actually playing. That's sick. That's a nice reveal. I really like that. And that's editing as well, because that shot could have been shown first, but it was delayed. And that payoff felt much better than just starting with him. So that was a very brilliant editing choice. I like that. I just got to tighten those things up, but this is nice. Now I'm about to break down exactly how I scaled my editing clients to $12,172 a month. It's the blueprint that took me from grinding for scraps to working with top creators on million-view videos. And you can watch that video here.